Now we're live.
Hey, yes.
Ish.
All right, take two.
Welcome to attempt 2.
Yeah. Well, that 5-minute countdown went by quick, huh? That explains.
Why no one said anything, right?
Yeah. Yes. Wow. You guys didn't hear the last B joke.
Yeah, but don't worry about it. B jokes are done.
Okay,
now.
we'll just make another last one. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Every B joke is the last B joke.
To be a joke or not to be a joke.
Oh no. The last B joke was better than that. Anyway, hello, welcome back. Blah 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 blah. Gamemode 4. Since the last stream, we released bees. It's been a while since we streamed. Sorry about that. I was on holiday. Other people were busy.
We were kind of in Amsterdam 1 week.
B jokes are dead. Long live boring jokes.
Yep, we are bored.
We're very
Special
bored.
Is bored. Our minecart is boring.
In fact, Blue was so bored that he did all of this.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
To get you guys caught up on what's been happening, I had a bit of spare time the last 2 days, and I kind of fixed furnace minecarts for Mojang. So now furnace minecarts work
Yeah.
in a way.
Yes, furnace minecarts can turn corners now.
Do you want me to go on a rant about minecarts?
Oh
should
yeah,
we-
go for it. Go for it. I think
Yeah.
we can start off by just going
Alright,
through what the pain that you've gone through with this project so far.
I think we can disable the data picker real quick, because then we can show the viewers what's broken.
That's a good idea.
Disable, tunnel doors. Alright, so furnace minecarts, right? They are... Before we do anything with minecarts, I want the viewers to take a look at this. So minecarts, we have furnace minecart, a TNT minecart, a hopper minecart. Oh no. A TNT minecart, a hopper minecart, and a chest minecart. Did you notice any differences, Sparks?
No.
Yeah, so the lighting on all
They're
minecarts,
identical.
the lighting on all minecarts is broken except for the chest one.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I haven't dug into this bug today, but I can only imagine that the lighting on all minecarts broke at some point, and somebody reported it for the chest to fix the chest, and then they never touched the other minecarts for years.
We'll
Now
just
we have-
set all minecarts on fire. It's fine. It works for crafting.
Oh, what did
I mean, we do it with the armor stands.
It
But
would
it
work,
would
but
show
we'd have to
very
make them
It's like
invulnerable.
sadistic now that you think about it.
We'd have to make them
And it would
invulnerable.
show-
Anyway, so go back to what you were saying
Yeah,
about
alright.
how they're broken.
So apart from the lighting being broken, furnace minecarts, right? They've been. I thought furnace minecarts were just not used because they are super useless, but it turns out furnace minecarts are super broken. So if I right-click on a furnace minecart with coal, it fuels it, and it's assigned a thrust direction to it, basically, depending on my looking vector. So now I look this way. If I right-click it, it will go that way. It copies my my looking vector, and turns it into like a thrust vector that's stored in the MBT as push X and push Z. So there we go. It pushes along as intended. Goes around the corner. Keeps going. Keeps going. Keeps going. Keeps going. And it stops. So the thing is, before 1.8, this push X and push Z, the thrust vector of this minecart is still burning fuel, it just doesn't know where to move anymore. Those two components, push X and push Z, they were updated to face the minecart's motion direction. This isn't the case anymore, hasn't been for the last 5 years, so if a minecart goes around the corner, the thrust is still pointing in the same direction, so the thrust of this minecart is locked to the world's coordinate grid. If I prime it going that way, it will always try to go that way. And if it goes around the corner or is on a rail like this, where it is right now, it can't go anywhere anymore because the rail doesn't face this way. So the thrust is basically locked to the world and not to the minecart, which is utterly stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That bug was introduced in 1.8. Previously, the thrust, push X and push Z were every tick aligned with the motion vector, making them turn with the minecart, which was useful. But in 1.8, that was removed from the game for some reason, and nobody bothered to fix it for the last 5 years. Another thing is that in the same version 1.8, they introduced another bug. If a minecart with furnace like this goes around a corner, it's push X and push Z. The components that store the thrust of the minecart get set to 0, both of them. Why
Lovely.
is a bit mathematical, because the reason for it is that as soon as it's around a corner, the motion vector and the push X and push Z vector form a right angle, making the scalar product 0, and that sets push X and push Z to 0.
Right.
So part of that old alignment system is still in place and removes the thrust of the minecart, make them stop. So furnace minecarts are basically useless, because unless you're using a straight piece of brick, they won't go anywhere for you.
I remember this being the case now, and I think I always assumed they just ran out of fuel, and I thought they could travel a lot less far, travel a much further distance before they ran out of coal. But I guess it's just they lock up.
Yeah. Turns out nobody bothered to fix it for the last 5 years. So I fixed it. It's very taxing because I need to do this on 20 Hz to make it work. Otherwise, the minecart runs into other problems like the push X and push Z. Neither of those, they are like a percentage, and you can have 50% push in X and 50% push in Z. But you can't have like 100% push in both axes. So if you have 100% push in one axis and 0 in the other, then the minecart can't turn corners anymore, and it will just bump around and block the corner. So I have to do this on 20 Hz, and there's no way around it, but this at least fixes the issue, and with this data pack, the furnace minecarts actually work, and will happily turn around corners and keep going and keep going and keep going until they hit this block of stone that's in the way. So I fixed that. I tried to fix drains, like furnace minecarts. We can show this here. Furnace minecarts, if you push another minecart into the furnace minecart and power the furnace minecart, it can actually pull it along like a drain. The thing is, nobody thought this drain mechanic through, and once they turn around the corner, one minecart gets launched off at a ludicrous speed.
Yep.
I thought this was an issue with entity collisions messing with the drain system, and turned off collisions by putting both of them in a team. I don't want to mess with that now because it was super annoying. But turns out turning off entity collisions for both minecarts doesn't work, so either that launching off is intended and hard-coded, or minecarts don't obey entity collisions. One of those two things, or both.
Yeah.
It might be that it tries to turn the corner, like according to the minecart's velocity, but the track, like, because it itself hasn't gone around the corner yet, the track is pushing it back into another direction and ends up just turning its velocity around.
That could be, yeah.
Because the track is in its own velocity needs to be the velocity the furnace minecart was like 10 seconds ago, not what it is now.
Yeah, but apart from that, let's ignore that drain issue. Furnace minecarts are now working, and what I did over the last 2 days is I built a minecart texture pending. It functions as a
Blue,
tunnel.
you're a prophet. As soon as you said trains, a train whistle went off outside my window, and now there's one going by.
So we set this going, and this minecart will happily dig through. If you turn on F3 and B sparks, the game actually doesn't store the rotation of the minecart anywhere in MBT or rotation of the entity. The rotation of the minecart, like the physical look of the minecart, is stored in memory or somewhere, I don't know where. And the rotation of the minecart, the looking vector, is just random, apparently.
Yeah.
Or locked to some axis. So I had to do some weird stuff to make this work and to make it dig the correct way. But this works and keeps digging. Rail algorithm work in progress.
Yeah, it places the rails as well.
Yeah. So if you put it on an activator rail, it will instantly schedule a block break event. So if this goes over this unactivated activator rail, nothing will happen because it only auto breaks if there's a block in the way. If I turn this on, it will go on there and always break these blocks. There we go. It will never miss them. And for that matter, you don't even have to have it moving. So we can put one of these cards here. There's an activated rail beneath. I can turn this off and off. And if I turn this on and make the minecart go towards this obsidian block, it can't break obsidian, of course. And now turn on this lever, it will instantly schedule a break event and break that block over there, put the minecart in a cooldown, and then it will just happily break along. So you can use it as a stationary block breaker, or you can use it as your tunnel board.
Mm-hmm.
Before we continue and work on actual features, take a look at this. Take a close look at the texture inside the minecart as it travels along this vertical rail. Horizontal,
Oh yeah,
diagonal rail.
we saw it. I saw it earlier, but I'll show it again.
Yeah, so it turns out you hardly notice this with the default minecart texture because it's symmetric. But the minecart texture actually doesn't rotate with the minecart and the front and the back texture-wise for the game. The minecart texture is locked to the world, and depending on where the minecart goes, the texture flickers around frenetically, gets mirrored or turned, or both. This also affects blocks inside minecarts, which makes this piston, even if it doesn't go along this weird bendy rail, if I make it go this way, take a close look, Sparks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are just flips for some reason.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we need to decide a texture for that minecart, but we can't use one that's orientational. It needs to be symmetric for front and back, because it will flip around like crazy. We could make this piston face the other way, of course, by modifying the block state of the piston. Right now, the piston is facing north, but that doesn't mean anything, because if I push the piston around the corner this way for the minecart, and if I push it around this corner, the piston flips. Yeah, textures in minecarts are a mess.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Subberjerry asks whether the furnace minecart consumes coal when it's stationary to break this block.
Yes, the furnace minecart, this bigger minecart will always consume coal, but our plan is you can attach a chest minecart in the back using the default drain mechanic, or when it's stationary just like this, and you can eventually just put coal into this minecart, and the furnace minecart will auto refuel itself, so you can automate it, don't worry.
Which is kind of today's stream's job.
Yeah, this is alright for our purpose, even though these drains don't last through corners. The tunnel that these minecarts dig is only like straight and flat. So
yeah, you can't force it to turn a corner in the middle of your tunnel unless you do it manually.
Yeah, so the drain won't break if you dig a tunnel, it will just work, and if you do it manually, you've got to reset it up anyways, because you've got to place a rail there to turn it. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so the purpose of this module is our way of doing a block breaker that is a bit more useful than just a block breaker, because you can move it around. And I guess it's there in order to... this is actually picking up cobble, by the way.
Oh yeah.
There's so many barriers around, I can't get to the barrel. There we go.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to place barriers to make it stop dropping the cobble from up here down there.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it's our version of a block breaker. And its other goal is basically to help you dig nether tunnels and things, and tunnels between places with a bit more ease. However, it can be used for shaft mining, which could potentially be a little OP. Because you can't obviously silk touch or anything, it will only give you 1 diamond for every diamond block it encounters. So it's not really that great if you have fortune on you. But it could potentially be a little bit too OP. I don't know if people think that's an issue, and if there's some way we can nerf it.
So there's a feature. So let's outlay a thing here first. We don't
consumes diamonds.
We don't want to mess with like the coal consumption of the card, because that's just a nuisance. That would require.
You have to update the NBT every time.
NBT, and that's not nice. So it will for 1 coal piece right now, it will go approximately 120 blocks. So the cost of that will be fixed. So we don't want to make it slower either. We could make it break blocks on a slower clock, but if we do that, it will just make it so that the player would rather use their pick instead of the minecart, because it's way faster to use a pick. So that's not an option either. So we want to make it so that the player needs to be present to help the card out in a reasonable way. So we don't want it to be super, super annoying to handle. So we don't want the card to feel like it needs 100% of your attention.
Yeah.
But it needs some of your attention to work. So there's a feature that needs to be discussed. Sparks brought this up yesterday. Liquids. Liquids could potentially destroy the tunnel, so Spark suggested liquids are just patched by the cart, so if the cart goes through here, it will dig away the lower portion of the liquid that's in the tunnel, and the upper portion up here, that will be patched with like bridging stone, like cobblestone filled up, so no liquid can pour into the tunnel. That's the current behavior, very work in progress, of course. Let me demonstrate that. So the inner part of the liquid will be voided and the upper part will be replaced with cobble. The thing that we want to know from you guys now is, our thought was maybe it will still delete all liquid in the way of the tunnel, but maybe we'll just not add this feature where it plugs up holes in the tunnel wall where liquids pour in. This is only done where liquids pour in, so if there's an air pocket like this, it will leave the air pocket there, but if there's liquid, it'll come to plug it up. If we remove that feature, there wouldn't be any liquid in the tunnel, and what the player would have to do is walk along and plug these holes as the player walks along. The minecart will not pick up the drops anyway, so the drops of the minecart will drop on the floor, so the player will have to be with the thing anyways if he wants the drops. But he will also have to, they will also have to plug the holes. Is that acceptable?
Yeah. Tessit asks whether it would work with flying machines. Does it work if it isn't on a rail?
No, it needs to be on a rail. The thing is, we can't make it work if it is not on a rail, because then there's no way for the minecart to tell which way it's facing. The minecart doesn't have like an internal attribute of facing, so the only way I could make it work reliably is look at the rail beneath, figure out which way it could be facing.
Tessit does say it might be interesting to remove the automatic placing of rails, so you have to use a flying machine to make it more complex. But then it's not very minecarty anymore.
Yeah, and then it can't like... Well, then you would have to push it using a flying machine, then the whole minecart aspect is basically gone.
Yeah.
Cropper asks, which blocks can't it break? The rule of thumb is, it breaks all blocks that are pushable. That's what we decided to do, because we don't want it to dig into a player's base and destroy all their chests. That would be a nightmare. Neither should it destroy barriers and portals, and portal frames or obsidian, so it destroys blocks that are pushable.
Subitary says, don't forget that block breakers are already a thing in vanilla. Are there any movable block breakers?
TNT dupers. That's about it.
I kind of count that as a bug, so...
It can break rails, Cropper, but it won't break rails that are like straight ahead. Like Sparks, if you come over here to the logs, if there's a rail up front, of course it won't schedule an auto break. Auto breaks are only scheduled if the block in front is a breakable block, like stone or anything else, basically. But if you force a break like this, it can break rails in all of these positions, of course, up here, but it won't break this rail, because that would be stupid.
Technically, you can move the wither, yeah. Crop says, what if we put slime blocks on the blacklist? Because they have a point, you can push rails. But hang on, you can push rails, but if you push the block under a rail, it pops off. So I don't think you can put it in a flying machine.
You need to be careful about pushing rails, but let's be honest here. If you make this flying machine powered, it will basically remove the minecart aspect.
Yeah, I don't think that we should make it flying machine exclusive, but it would be fun if people could stick it in a flying machine.
Why would you want to when it's laying its own rails?
If you don't have rail, or you're digging a tunnel where you don't want to lay rail, I guess. It's a nice challenge, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can push a rail without... I guess you probably could.
Sparks. The problem with this flying machine thing is Sparks. The minecarts don't have an inherent facing property.
Yeah.
And to figure out which way the minecart is facing, the only possibility we have is look at the rail beneath, and then look at the motion tag or the push tag. Right now we're looking at the force, the thrust vector of the minecart, and look at the rail beneath, figure out which direction, like which axis the rail is facing, and then look at the force vector of the minecart in that direction,
Yeah.
in that axis, and figure out which way the force vector is pointing to figure out the direction, like positive or negative.
Yeah, this is why I'm...
If you-
yes, you put
you
it
have it
on a
on
rail and push the
my
rail.
machine. Yeah, but that won't work. Because the minecart won't move on that rail, technically. Or like, if you want the minecart to have a force on that moving rail on the flying machine, then you will have to have a block in front of the minecart.
So, interesting things about rails being pushed by pistons. If another block pushes the rail, it will move. But if it doesn't, it won't. If that makes any sense, right? So, this here is going to break the rail because
Yeah.
there's no longer a thing under the rail. This
That will leave it.
will also break the rail.
Oh.
That will also break it, yeah.
There's block 36 there for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. However, this... Wait, I need a slime block. This will keep the rail.
Yeah, because it turns the rail to block 36 and...
Piston extension is no longer block 36.
Yeah, that's technically special.
'Cause you can push it like this, so...
Yeah, I guess if you have a single rail like that, then if you stuck it on a flying machine, you'd only have two directions you could do, or maybe even only one direction that you could dig in with it. Lots of happening in chat. Somebody said we could limit it by height. I don't know if that feels right. I think maybe just...
somebody else... yesterday somebody in chat suggested that we have an upgrade system for this and have different tunnel sizes. Sparksy also said maybe only have it dig a 1x2. But let's be honest, if you're gonna dig a 1x2, you might as well dig a 3x3, because then you can like build beautiful walls.
Your walls in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can't really do a 2x2 because that's uneven.
Yes, and having it larger is just no, and yeah.
Yeah. What else is happening in chat? Yeah, a block maker solution.
What are your favorite kinds of cheese?
What is that?
7.
I think that we can kind of mitigate it a little bit. Oh, spider's here. By not voiding liquids, so people have to babysit it a little more.
Yeah.
And
You gotta watch out for the water, because that flows fast and lava in the nether, but if you're with the thing anyways,
also,
you don't have anything else to do.
Also, I've just realised with the current voiding method, you could just dig a tunnel along the floor of an ocean.
Yes, and would just fill it.
Yeah.
Which makes slime contraptions to do that unnecessary.
The water might flood in ahead of it too much, though.
Oh, from the front?
Mm.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Alright, regardless of that stuff, this will go on a public server eventually. Once it's done, there's a lot of work to be had.
Oh, yeah.
Spucks, do you want to outlay what is to be done for today? I've also put it on this yellow board.
So, we want to allow the minecart to take resources it needs from a chest behind it. So we're looking at fuel sources, bridging blocks for placing under itself if it can't move forward.
So it doesn't fall into like in a ravine.
Yeah, although we could remove that too if we wanted.
I think that would be an asshole move, to be honest, if we remove that, because then you have to be ahead of the minecart to fix it. Right?
Yeah, I guess because it will just keep moving and fall off the edge.
Yeah, or it will just drive off the rail. Yeah, that would be annoying, I think.
So yeah, it's going to look for rails to place, filler blocks for filling, and fuel and coal as a fuel source. I guess we could allow it to accept charcoal as well.
Yeah, we need to, because charcoal's bad as well.
Charcoal's
I mean, we
what
can
as well?
limit it if you want. Yeah, you can input charcoal in these.
Oh really? Okay, yeah.
Can you still? Did they remember to change that when they replaced charcoal with a different type of coal?
Yeah, you can. Yep, they fixed that. Unlike the other
good.
bug that lasted 5 years and it's still in the game. What I've taken away
How
from
come
the last
my
two...
minecarts don't break the things?
Oh, you need a special card. Click on this button to get one.
Oh, okay.
It has a special tag. It doesn't work for all furnace cards. So what I learned over the last 2 days is furnace cards are maybe useless once you have golden rails, but furnace cards are very fixable if Mojang would actually put the effort in. But they just don't seem to care about furnace cards. Like that one bug that I fixed this data back where they can't go around corners, that's easily fixed. And the drain mechanic that's broken, they basically added that for llamas. Llamas basically form drains, just not on rails. So, Mojang, please fix them. Like,
It's so nice to see a furnace minecart actually like running along a track, up a hill.
It's actually pretty nice, like especially early game, where you don't have a lot of gold. This would be a valid thing to have. Or to transport like a mass amount of minecarts along a temporary rail.
Yeah. Miso just arrived after I. Yeah, you put a chest behind it, and it pulls it along, and it'll take resources out of that, fuel and rails. So yeah, we are trying. We want it to take its stuff out of a chest minecart, and because there's several things we're looking for. We're looking for fuel. We're looking for placing blocks, and we're looking for rails.
That won't work, especially.
What we would need to do is, because there's no way of just saying, like, you can't remove an item from a chest without specifying the slot. So
maybe start with like the algorithm we use for Ambrosia, because that's easy to explain, I guess.
I don't remember how that works. We basically just look through slots until we find a bowl.
Yeah, we abort if we find one.
Yeah, and then once we find one, we act on the bowl and cancel the loop. So what we could do is, when we look for coal, when we look for a fuel source and the minecart needs fuel, we just look for the first slot and we see there's coal, so we take away 1 from the count of that slot and then stop. And then when we're looking for placing blocks, we check the first slot, we check the second slot, we find cobblestone, we take 1 away. And then when we're looking for rails, we check the first, we check the second, we check the third, we check the fourth, find the rail and remove the count. However, that means that there's going to be at least 1 of these checks every single step the minecart takes, and up to 3 full chest searches. So what we were thinking of doing instead is creating 27 scoreboard objectives. And every step, since we have to cycle through it anyway to look for rails, we would set all of our scoreboards to 0 and then have a number ID for all of the blocks that the minecart cares about. And so for the first scoreboard objective will be slot 0. So if the slot 0 contains coal, we'd set it to 1. If it contains a cobble, we'd set it to 2. If it contains rail, we'd set it to 3. And then we would do that for all 27 slots, so that then we've basically got the entire chest indexed into scoreboard objectives with score of 0 if the item is useless to the minecart or empty, and then a number indicating what the minecart is. And then afterwards, instead of having to MBT check the minecart chest every time, we can just reference the scoreboard and loop through all of the scoreboards until we find one, and the scoreboard we find with the right ID number will tell us which slot to remove the count from.
Then we can access the minecart and save checks that way. We hope. That's a theory. We don't know if it works. We don't know if something will get in our way. And
however, maybe we need an extra step in this, because if we're indexing all 27 slots every step, that's 27 MBT checks on the chest. So what we'd need to do is we would have to...
This indexing will
we'd have to keep track. We'd have to keep track of when we find things. So like, we start with nothing and we go to slot 1 and it's coal. So we set the scoreboard for slot 0 to 1, and now we mark that we have found a fuel source. and then we get to slot 2, and it's cobble, so we set the score to 2, and we mark that we found a placey block. And then we get to 3, and we mark it as a placey block. And then we get to 4, and we find a rail. And so we mark that we found rails, placey blocks, and fuel, and stop the search, the MBT checks there.
And then what? Only re-update our scoreboards when we no longer have an item in the scoreboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have to. I think we have to research every single time we interface with the chest anyway.
That since item IDs are now strings, I don't think what we are gonna do with the 27 scoreboards will save us anything, because we'll have to perform one check for each item type on each slot anyways.
That's true, because we have to check for every type
If they
of
were
item in
still
every slot.
numeric IDs, then it would help us, because then we could just store the numeric ID into a scoreboard, and by that way just do one lookup per slot. But like this, we'll have to do 3 per slot for rails, placey blocks, and
That's true.
poles. So I think it might not even help us, and we'll just use the Ambrosi algorithm.
Misad says another option would be to have a force-loaded chunk with a chest / structure
Shulker
block?
box.
Oh, shulker box.
Shulker box.
That makes more sense. Copy the minecart to the chest, then use /loot insert, then copy the chest to the minecart.
But can loot insert remove items?
Yeah, we
thought that
we
only
need to remove items, not put them
added.
in. Because the items being broken by the minecart are just going to drop. We're thinking about adding Ender Hopper minecarts at some point to help pick things
Sparks
up.
suggested it yesterday.
Yeah, I think it would be really easy to add.
The thing is, alongside with Enderhopper minecarts, we would have to implement a fully fledged custom train system that actually works.
That can pull more than... Yeah, because the current furnace minecarts can only pull a single minecart along behind them. They
And
can
in
push
that case,
ahead
we
of
would-
them, but then there's obviously a wall in the way, so it wouldn't work.
Plus, if they push ahead and they go... End of the story is, if we're gonna do that, we're gonna implement a fully fledged train system that actually works around corners as well.
Yeah.
We thought about using leads, but leads are exclusive to mobs, so we can't use leads for it. And it's kind of complicated.
Interestingly, I guess this means that players can be... We've talked about how players can use modules on the server in a sort of friendly way that reduces lag for other people. And interestingly, this would be a weird thing where you can put your rails in any slot in the chest, but if you put them in the first slot, it's going to be more performant. Because it's going to be looking for rails most often, and if we fill rails in the first 9 slots or something, then it's going to find them first, and it's only placey blocks and coal that are needed every now and again.
Yeah, another thing we'll do that Spark suggested is it will not do this every block pulse. Instead, we'll have area effect cloud or something riding the furnace minecart.
Oh yeah, so it can take a stack at a time.
Yeah, so it will basically do this rail check every now and then. It will take a stack at a time, store it on the area effect cloud. Then we can, using that area effect cloud, we can detect when the actual digging minecart is broken and drop those unused rails that are still stored in it in number form.
Yes. So we'd essentially be creating an inventory within the furnace minecart for more than just coal.
Does that work? Does that work, Robert?
Does what work? Oh, data get entity.
That works.
Wait, what?
God damn, we're stupid. Oh, that's.
Oh,
useful.
we can read the slot of the number of the first result of a coal search.
Yeah, and we only need one because we can do like the next.
Oh,
result
because the new
next time.
selector things.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yes.
This makes
Oh,
it
that's
easier.
great.
That makes things much more efficient. However, I think an internal inventory is still a good idea. So that we only
Yeah,
have to
so
read.
we can just we'll just take the count of that slot and then store it into the internal inventory.
Yes. Which I guess would either be a stack or maybe something a little smaller, because you can't tell how much
Yeah.
it
something like that.
has in
8
it.
items at a time.
Maybe
Or
8.
I guess for rails, maybe 10 would be good, but
How would it? Will there be some How will we handle the maximum of this internal thing? Like,
Oh,
let's say there's like 56 items in this internal. and it finds a stack
Yeah.
in a stack of items in the chest, what will it do? Will it subtract, or will it wait till the rails are empty and then fill up?
I think it would be simpler if it waited until it was empty before looking for more items.
In that case, we'll have to make sure that it doesn't like run out of rails for one pulse, because that would be detrimental.
I see what you mean, yeah, because it would stop every 8 blocks.
Yeah,
for one pulse.
Whatever, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it runs out of rail, so we have to make sure that this rail loading is done before the dig operation is done. Otherwise, it will have like one dig operation without a rail that will break the thing, because then it's not on a rail anymore. It won't be able to move anymore.
Oh, wow, so much chat.
Yeah, I know, it's going really fast today.
Need to switch to live chat.
Tessit says instead of using a chest minecart, use a hopper minecart and dedicate 1 slot for each item type. I think Crops solution. Wait.
Tessit, I considered doing that, but that's kind of limiting, to be honest. But now that I think about it, it's also limiting to say you have to use a chest minecart.
I mean, a hopper minecart would start picking up items from around it as the furnace broke it.
Using Crops solution with like the lookup.
Yeah.
We don't have to hardcode a slot count in the minecart, in the chest minecart.
No.
So if we created an entity tag with chest minecarts and hopper minecarts, we could make both work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could.
So you could choose for big inventory but no auto pickup, or choose for small inventory but the occasional auto pickup.
Yeah, I don't think hopper minecarts are that advantageous, to be honest.
Yeah, unless we make them unless we like program a special case where putting a hopper minecart there makes it auto pickup, but I think it's super useful, super useless, because the hopper minecart will just fill up with cobblestone in like the first 9 layers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to pick up cobblestone anyway. That's what hopper minecarts do.
Yeah, but we could make it work for both hopper and chest minecarts, and I think that's worth it, just to keep that fuzziness, so players don't be like, it's not working with my hopper minecart.
Spider says, can you detect what cart is in front of you? Put them all in front. Oh, can you detect what cart is in front if you put all in front with the furnace one in back? Then just break at the front.
Well, then your tunnel boring bit is at the back of your train.
The tunnel boring thing will be in front of the train, Spider. That sounds weird, but it's actually a vanilla feature that works.
Hey, Peach. Misad says...
Good morning, Peach.
I have an idea. Use the last slot, items -1, to get the count. Remove 1, store the count.
That's not the last slot, Masode. That's just the last slot in the list.
It's just the last entry.
Yeah, just entry in the list. So not necessarily the last slot.
What would that do for us, Misad? Sorry?
Unless you're trying to move items to the front.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he means by it.
He's on.
Oh, because he's saying, like, get the farthest slot in the thing. So, like, if you knew that there are 5 slots filled, pull out of the 5th one, and then the 4th one, and then the 3rd one. But there's multiple items that thing could have, so that won't really help us.
Yeah.
So we have 3 item types here that we need to look for. Rails, a bridging block, which will probably be hard-coded to cobblestone.
We could maybe accept a couple of others based on like different areas.
The thing is,
like,
the more we accept, the more
it doesn't make. The more it doesn't make sense that it can't use everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also thought about exclusively limiting it to oak wood, to oak planks.
Oh.
To do like the mineshaft style.
Yeah.
But then those burn down if you.
I think players.
They wouldn't burn down if you went through the lava lake, but they would burn down if you went over the lava lake. Because as soon as there's an air block next to it and some lava near the air block. No, that would look cool.
There's a lot of people here this week.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yep,
Also, we haven't really thought about it very much yet either, but it would be kind of cool if, once we get the train system working, if we could have some kind of template builder where you can give it like a sliver template of a tunnel and the building blocks to make it, and it would place the tunnel shape for you each line. I have no idea how well that will
I think that
work
would
though.
be an update for this module, the ones we make a train module.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it
we're
some block-
determined to make minecarts great again. What can I say?
Yeah. Yeah, we even have like a Gamemode 4 smart card that supports Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gets this reference on the stream, but I'm fine with that.
Tessa suggests something which I was thinking as well, which is that we should support cobblestone, netherrack, and endstone for the three kind of.
Yeah.
In fact,
I
we
could
could
see
even
that.
query the dimension to choose what
Depending on what
type of block
biome
to
you're in.
place.
In deserts, it uses sandstone.
That'd be annoying.
Snowy biomes, it uses snow.
Oh, and you can't tell underground unless you have opposite.
Yeah, but I think
Okay.
netherrack and endstone are good suggestions as placey blocks.
Yeah, and we'll have to support coal and charcoal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even though I can tell you that no one's ever gonna use charcoal for this. Like, you rarely use charcoal, and then bring charcoal to this machine? I reckon not.
Should it try and place a powered rail every nth rail place if there's a powered rail available to?
Oh no, please
No,
don't.
that's the player's job.
No.
Okay.
That's the last job, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's
This isn't going to do all the work for you, Sparks.
That's
This isn't millennial brain.
5 items it cares about then. The 3 placey blocks, rails. Oh, 6,
That
and the
was
2
a bad joke
coals.
that no one got.
We could cut out the charcoal if we wanted to.
We're doing an
Like, how
NBT check for
likely-
each item, right?
How likely is it that somebody really uses charcoal with this? And it's not like charcoal is more abundant than coal.
No.
Unless you're called Special Builder or Blue and play on GM4D and refuse to use coal.
Can you use
Right,
charcoal?
save the greenhouse.
Can you use charcoal to make flint and steel or any other recipe that has coal in it?
Good question.
Flint and steel uses flint.
You.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. What am I thinking of?
Fire charge?
Nothing.
Fire charge. I think you can use
I know
it
you can
for-
use it for fire charges
Yeah.
and torches.
I think the only recipe you can't use it for is a coal block. You can,
Foxy cut out there, I think.
I mean, coal blocks.
Coal block is the only one that you can't use charcoal as a substitute for. Yeah, why isn't there a charcoal block?
That would be lovely if trees burnt down if they make charcoal blocks.
Oh, that'd be nice. Oh
But also
man, I want to make this
people
now.
to burn.
It would be OP to make it with coal blocks though.
Yeah. Charcoal blocks should have different properties and burn a bit slower, because otherwise... Oh no.
I'd expect it to break your vertical rail, Crothers, if you try to send it up a vertical rail. Because you have to run it into the vertical rail,
It will try
And,
to break the ladder and then it will...
and it'll try to break the thing beneath the ladder.
It
Just
will
like...
break the ladder actually, or yeah, it will break the ladder.
The North is enforcing polluting energy sources. We need solar panel minecarts. We need to find a way.
Nuclear minecarts.
We need to find a way of
Dumb idea, there's no sun underground. You're right.
guys.
Just take this out with you.
We need to add obsidian. Bedrock oil to this game. Okay. Well, we've been talking for almost an hour.
There's nothing to talk
50
about here.
minutes.
How many lines of code
Let's
we've
have a
written?
look at the code.
Okay, can you open mine for me, Box? Mine is under functions board, and there should be a function called mine.
Mm-hmm. There you go, sir.
Thanks. So I will delete this fix up part, because that's not needed anymore.
That's the patching for the liquids, right?
Yep. There we go. Delete this. Actually, delete this entirely. I can also delete the scoreboard, so if you open init for me.
Thanathor says geothermal minecarts.
geothermal minecarts. I will delete this scoreboard because we don't need that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It
Save.
literally consumes the lava buried deep in the earth
It's
to
a
power
geothermal-
itself.
Yeah, you can add it to your tunnel board drain, a geothermal minecart, to make it so that it. No, you need to add a liquid tank minecart first, a liquid minecart. Then you need to add a geothermal generator minecart that then makes it so that your tunnel board stores the lava in your liquid tank cart,
Oh,
and then the
dear.
geothermal cart fuels the tunnel wall minecart.
You're gonna need a pipe cart somewhere in there to get it from the back of the train all the way to the front.
Minecart's being pulled by bees.
Oh,
So
Krabba brings
jelly.
up a good point. Would a lava-powered cart work in the Nether? No, because of thermodynamics.
I think
Yeah.
I think
Have two hot reservoirs. It doesn't work.
I think I've
But the
watched
ice powered cars would work.
I think I've watched enough videos to realize that the properties of the Nether are kind of messed up anyway.
Tell us about it.
They tried to work out how a meter cubed of water could evaporate instantly by calculating the
Energy
air pressure,
requirement.
because water boils
Oh.
at different temperatures depending on pressure, and yeah, it didn't look good.
No, it does not.
Water
Well, if it were to
needs
boil
run.
instantly at high temperature, you could probably be lower pressure because you're at such a high temperature to melt stone.
That would
But you're also deep underground, so the
accelerate.
pressure's got to be high
Yeah.
to keep the lava liquid.
I think
Just from an energy standpoint, evaporating water takes a lot of energy.
Water is terrifying.
Evaporating a cubic
It dissolves
meter of water-
itself. It takes ridiculous amounts of money to move it.
Oh yeah, it does.
Thankfully, it's on our side most of the time.
It's super heavy compared to most organic liquids, of course.
it's weird because it's a substance which expands when it gets cold as well,
Yes.
whereas most things expand when they heat.
It's a simple
Yeah.
molecule. It consists out of oxygen and hydrogen, which are both building blocks in aldehydes, and other chemical components are useful for organic chemistry. So water generates when you combine two carbohydrates to a ketone or an aldehyde, if I remember correctly.
I saw a sign for water once which said, "Beware of the sticky, slippery, opaque, transparent, translucent, solid liquid gas."
The only thing about water that's horrible is that it sticks to everything.
Yeah.
Like if you
High
get your
surface
floor
tension.
wet, your floor is wet. If you spill mercury on your floor isn't wet.
It's easy to clean up that.
Water.
Yeah.
There is water here. This is it. We've moved on from bee facts. This is water facts now. Okay, back to the code. We have written negative about 6 lines of code.
Yep.
Hey, I
Right,
added one
so
back.
we
Don't worry,
can-
we're good.
We can close in it now. We can take a look at mine if you want to, but that's basically all done. I need to get rid of this.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go to.
This is our bug
Process
fix
for-
file, by the way. This is just to fix the bug, which Blue has handily listed, so we can easily find it later. And if it gets fixed, we can just remove this file.
Yeah. So we need to go to process bore, which is called by main. Yeah. Process bore handles the minecart bore cards and handles the default digging operations with auto dig that is initiated by a block being in the way of the card.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm desynced. For me, you are still in it, Sparks.
Can you jump to me? I'm in process bore.
Nope.
I
just
closed
don't
in
wait for
it.
me. I will just rejoin the portal.
Okay.
But usually if it's there.
So this is just where's it run from? It doesn't say.
It runs from main. It says somewhere, but I had to look for it as well. I think I put declaration. Yeah, it says called by tunnel boss main.
You put the prefix. I'm not used to that. Yeah. Okay. So this is running the bore/mine function.
Yeah, mine is just destroying the blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 4 of these for the 4 directions of the card.
How? This looks like it breaks regardless of whether it's got fuel or not.
No,
Well, if it doesn't have fuel, it's not gonna hit things.
If it doesn't have fuel, then it doesn't have a heading score.
Aha.
So I should explain this heading score. This heading score is manually assigned because the minecart doesn't really have an internal storage of where it is going. This heading score is assigned to 90, minus 90, 0, or 180, depending. I manually set it. Those values represent the actual Y rotation of the minecart. If the Y rotation would actually align, whilst we are in this function, in this process bore, or in main, the Y rotation of the minecart is actually set to that. So we could also read the Y rotation of the minecart. I manually set it, but the game resets that after 1 tick.
Mm-hmm.
So whilst we're in it, we can also rely on the Y rotation, which is why we can use the caret symbol back here. This separation here with like the checking the score and checking the rail direction is a double failsafe check to make sure the minecart really is going the right way.
Mm-hmm.
If the minecart is on an invalid rail, or not on a rail, or going around a corner, or going up a slope, this heading direction will be set to -1. The same is the case when a minecart is currently on cooldown. So after a tick operation has been performed, this heading is set to -1.
Okay. Cool. Down. So we want to create an inventory. So I guess we need to reopen init after all.
Do it down here, Sparks, please, for neatness sake.
Okay, so hang on.
By the way, name of this module is pending. Tunnel bore sounds really boring. That was a bad pun.
Yeah, it was.
If someone can come up with a better name, let us know. I researched tunnel bores today, and they just call them tunnel boring machines, and that's a boring name.
Big drill. Big drill carts.
Apparently, you also nickname these tunnel boring machines moles, but calling it minecart with mole is kind of misleading, and misleading to Americans, because you only have like, what do you call them in America? The ones with the star-shaped noses?
Moles.
Moles.
Oh, you really call them moles? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, the European mole doesn't have a star-shaped nose, just so you're aware.
We could call it turtles, but that's already another thing.
Are we not going to go? Are we not going with
We're not going with the inventory. Yeah, what does chat think? Can we not do charcoal? Can we just ignore it for the sake of like friendliness and say this tunnel boring machine destroys the environment anyway, so it will only use non-environmentally friendly fuels?
Then it only consumes nether stars that you have to physically destroy the environment in order to get.
Wither roses.
Summon essentially the Antichrist to power your tunnel machine.
The other day, we have a public server for everyone that doesn't know about this. Probably all people listening to this know this. We have a public server where we test Gamemode 4 modules, and where you can access our Gamemode 4 modules. The IP is server.gm4.co. And the other day, somebody sold wither roses, and there are a couple of big organizations of player groups on the server. Somebody sold wither roses, and I was just listening in on this, so I don't know what exactly was going on.
How come nobody noticed that I put scoreboard players, by the way?
Some of these wither roses, they were produced in a griefish way, so the guy that produced the wither roses destroyed a bunch of stuff with it, and somebody bought these wither roses and got called out for it, and his defense was, I didn't know in which circumstances these wither roses were produced. And was kind of a huge crisis on the server.
I mean, how did you think they were produced? Something had to die to make those flowers.
Okay, so we've got cobble, N-rack, E-stone, coal, char, and rail.
Tacit is a completionist like me and just leaving out.
Estonia is too long.
Estonia?
Is too long.
Wait, did you call it Estonia?
No, somebody changed it to Estonia.
Don't worry about it.
That's 15 characters.
NREC is evil N-word. Would probably go into the top 10 N-words.
Oh no. Oh, there's a really bad YouTube video about that.
Coal blocks. Hmm.
You can't right
We only build the bridges out of coal blocks.
diamond blocks. Only beacons. Only beacons.
I'd be tempted to add coal blocks if it wasn't for the fact that one block of coal already gets you insanely far, and it's not really necessary.
The fuel value in a minecart is stored as a short, so the max you can fuel the minecart is about 27 minutes, the same as the diffuse from your diffuses a creeper 4.
Why do you do the fill in several steps? Or do you have to fill each block?
I need to. Or actually. Yeah, I think I could change that. I could at least change it for the upper blocks. I did this way because I used that block previously, but I think I can change it, yeah. Only thing I cannot change it for is for the bottom layer, because in that space we need to watch out for rails as well.
Yeah, but
the upper 6 blocks could be changed to 1 fill, yeah. You're right. Now to figure out how I did this. This is lower layer. This is upper layer. So... Oh yeah, I remember why I need to do the fill like this. Because I can't use replace and destroy at the same time, so I need to check the blocks individually.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, that's true. So if it runs out of rails, what does it break the block and then
sit there for the rest of its life? Yes.
Will it?
Yeah,
it will
yes.
roll forward off the rail onto nothing, right?
It will. Yeah, it will just break the blocks like this, and then it will just sit there.
Yeah, until you put a new rail in, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fine. So I guess here we can go execute if score at s. Oh no, is it score at s? Score.
Yeah. Score at s and then score.
Target objective.
4 rail matches 1 or more. And then, do we do a new function for 2 like this?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So,
I will create a function for you.
Run function. Should I create it since I'm hosting?
Yeah, works as well. Put it under bore. Just bore should be fine. Tunnel bores.
Bore place underscore rail.
Yep, sounds good to me. We need to think about this a bit more. Before we can place the rail, we need to check that the block beneath the rail is a block that can support the rail. If it is an air block, or a block that should be replaced, like a hole press or something, then we should replace it with a bridging block. If not, we... Oh, this is getting complicated. So we want to check the block beneath the rail before we place the rail. Check whether this block can be replaced by a bridging block. If so, place a bridging block and place a rail. If it is a block that allows a rail on top, don't replace it with a bridging block and place a rail. And if it is a block that doesn't support a rail, but shouldn't get destroyed by the bridging block, then do neither. Right?
Are there any natural blocks a minecart would normally roll onto that can't have a rail placed on it?
Well, you can't think about natural blocks here because we might run into some escape tunnel that got built by a player. Like, let's say you've got
then isn't it nicer if the minecart just stops?
Yeah, probably.
Like I think.
So what would the minecart do in this situation, Sparks?
In this situation.
Yep.
Wouldn't it roll onto this and
dig
drop
straight down
and end up in it?
Yeah, should it do that? Or I think that's what it should do, because like this block, the half step, I don't think that should be replaced by a bridging block.
No.
So we could make it do this, replace it by a bridging block and start bridging over. But I don't think it should do that to a half step. That should only happen with like tall grass or cobwebs or something.
or air.
Or air, yeah.
Won't it have broken tall grass that's in front of it?
Tall grass, double tall grass, yeah, but not tall grass. Short tall grass. So if you have like this.
Oh, I see. Right.
So it should definitely break this, put a block there, and then continue.
Or like a
Same
mushroom
goes-
or something.
Yeah, or mushroom. Same goes for air. It should replace the air and keep going. But if there's like something like a oak slab or an enchanting table or something, it should keep the enchanting table. That's an issue. Yeah, it should keep that, and
You can't place rail on soul sand.
though the command might be able to, but yeah, it should keep the soul sand, not place a rail, and just in that case.
Did they change the texture? Like, I mean, the height of the block? Or did it always look like it was a normal height?
Yeah.
It always looked normal height.
Okay.
So we need two classes.
Don't think about the souls of the damned just like sucking your feet down. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too much. It's fine.
But special, they repel you, because if you put a soul sand on it, it doesn't suck you down, it repels you.
Underwater, that's because they're screaming, Blue.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so we need two classes of blocks here. We need blocks that should be replaced by a bridging block, which is the typical stuff like air, mushrooms, flowers, stuff like that. And we need a block tag for blocks that rails cannot be placed on top, that shouldn't be broken. And when we place a bridging block, we want to make sure that we only place a bridging block if the block can be replaced with a bridging block, so if it's air, a mushroom, or stuff like that. And if we place a rail, we need to check that the block beneath is not a block that a rail cannot be placed on.
Oh dear.
So
This
step
sounds
one-
like a lot of us sitting down and just placing rails on things to see what happens.
Yeah, basically. So step one, we need a line of code that does, hey, check, is there air, a mushroom, stuff like that, where the bridging block should go? If so, place a bridging block.
If it has a bridging block.
If it has a bridging block. Step two, a line of code after that, after the bridging block supposedly got placed, check if the block where the bridging block is supposed to be can hold a rail. So if it is not air, not mushroom, not slab, not whatever. And if it is not that, then place a rail. Then we can't specify block tags in block states and block tags. So if you have a block tag that excludes oak slabs, it will also exclude this oak slab. Because we can only say block tag oak slab, and it doesn't care about this.
Yeah. Maybe we should limit it to naturally generated blocks, because I don't think oak slabs generate, do they?
I
mean,
think
we could...
not dungeons, mine shafts have full blocks of oak, so yeah.
Yeah, they do.
If you try to run a tunnel bore through a village, you might run into an issue, but otherwise, maybe we should limit it to naturally
Don't let them
generated
terrorize
blocks.
the villagers.
The bridging block placing is easy, like setting a block list up for that for like air, grass, mushrooms and stuff, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
The difficult part is when we place the rail, check for a block beneath, is the rail placeable?
Yeah.
We could also leave that part out and just rely on the block updates provided by the rails. So if it places a rail on an invalid block, it can run on there, but once it places the next rail, the rail will probably pop off. So let's say we have like this here, and now we do like set block rail, and then it's fine for one iteration, and then places this and pops off. We could also rely on this if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Which would mean that it could cross like gaps like this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It would lose the chest, wouldn't it?
yeah, it probably would. But it would stop anyways. So if I do this, and then it does the next one. 87. Yeah, so if it's a gap of multiple, it will stop. So like, if I place this first one, and then it tries to place on here on the second part of this gap, I will try this now. That will make both pop off.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be able to cross a gap of 1 and lose the chest probably, but it wouldn't be able to cross a larger gap, which is most likely. Right to see. This is a real edge case. Like, when are you ever gonna run into like an oak slab, just a single one, just
The thing is, there are worse things than this that will cause a minecart to stop, like running into liquid, or running out of rail, or...
Well, a liquid we would detect that and we would bridge across. I'm only talking about bad blocks here. The horrible blocks are the blocks that shouldn't be replaced with a bridging block. Things that should be replaced with a bridging block, like liquids, grass, mushrooms, air, those aren't bad, because we would just place bridging block and we are fine.
Yeah.
The bad things are those that aren't replaced with a bridging block because they shouldn't be broken, like enchanting tables. You don't want a thing to break those for a bridging block or a chest.
Mm-hmm.
But those are really rare to run into.
Shall we just work on the rail bit for now?
Yeah, let's do the rail bit.
And we'll not worry about placing anything below the rail for now.
We can't... The placing below the rail isn't hard. That's the easy part. Placing the rail is hard, but we can't just ignore like the bad blocks for now, like bottom half steps. We'll just place a bridging block if there's a lava, if there's a liquid below, if there's grass below, if there's mushrooms below, if there's air below. Place a bridging block and place a rail afterwards if there's not lava, not mushroom, not grass below.
We're going to have to rip that out anyway, and we've already been streaming for an hour and 15 minutes, so let's just leave it for now and work on another aspect of the rail bit, which is reading the chest.
Short talkers. There's a lot going on in chat right now. Aren't the blocks you can place rails on it the ones shulkers can TP to the same? But we're not gonna use shulkers.
No, she's using. They're saying the block tag might be usable if there is one.
I don't think there's a block tag for shulkers.
Probably not.
No, there isn't. They had a website, I think, but it didn't post the link because stupidness.
Mm-hmm.
They have a block tag for Enderman pickable.
All right. Yeah. So we'll just do the rail placing now, and that will work. I've already created those blocks. I've already created a block tag that's like air and liquids. It's called air.json. Just needs like mushrooms and stuff added, but let's do the rails first.
Okay. Does anyone have the thing open? I just reloaded. Did it reload fine?
Let me look it up. No errors, you're fine.
Okay, so if we reset this and just have a minecart go. I don't have any coal on me. It should. Oh, especially you're in the way.
Special? Just flies up.
It should break the blocks, but then not place a rail because it doesn't have a rail score. However, if we set it, fine. If we set its rail score, so scoreboard players set at e type equals, what is it? A furnace minecart, right? Furnace minecart. Limit equals 1 sort.
I don't think that scoreboard exists, folks.
Oh, we have to run in it. Could you run in it quickly for me?
Yeah, though, can I... Do we want to name the scoreboard boar? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Alright, I will run in it. Tunnel bores. In it. There we go.
So I'm going to give it 3 rails. Now give it some power. 1, 2, 3. Stops. Nice. Okay, so that's its internal rail inventory for rails. Now I guess the next thing is to detect when its rail score is less than, or when it's 0, and try and populate itself from a minecart.
Those sparks, do we want to give that rail score to the minecart?
Oh, do we have to set this up with a passenger now? Before we can continue. You're right, we should set it to a passenger so that if you break the minecart, it'll drop its contents, its inventory.
Yeah, so you need to have this rail score on a passenger.
Yeah, okay, great. So I guess we have to modify this summon command?
Yeah, you can just modify it however you want. It's a pretty simple command.
Passengers is an array.
Yep.
With an object ID :
ID.
speech marks Minecraft : area effect cloud duration capital D, and I've completely forgotten what the max duration is.
I will look it up for
21, 47, 48, 36, 47.
Oh, special got your back.
That
Yes.
sounds correct to me.
Oh, I have no idea where you're
box?
typing, but
Sorry?
Anything
no
else
idea where you're typing though.
apart from direction?
The custom name.
Oh, you're in that command block.
The custom name, which has to be a translation string now.
I will send it in chat so you can see the bottom left of your screen. There you go. Totally didn't steal that from Ambrosia.
GM4. I guess we could just use a tag instead of a name, but
Give it a name anyways.
Bore storage. GM4 tunnel _ bore.
That's their. I would call it bore storage, maybe, because the minecart is tagged as tunnel bore.
Okay. Well, let's see if I. Did I mess that up? I see two markers for entities, so I think I summoned it.
Did you give that area effect cloud a tag as well?
No. We're probably gonna have to kill that one. Oh, we have to kill the area effect cloud if it loses its minecart as well.
Yep. And like drop stuff at it.
Yeah.
So give that thing a tag, and I will kill it.
Tags GM4 bore storage.
What do people say? Shark then. What if they place the rail, then clone the block below? I don't know. Class supports rails now. It for some reason does. I feel like a good way to do it would be to replace air and maybe liquid, then place rail and clone the block below to update it.
Skulljuper.
You can also force. You can also clone on itself on the rail to force an update.
That's interesting. The eye marker renders for the minecart renders over the minecart, but the eye marker for the other entity renders.
Oh no, don't
Whoa.
worry. It just takes a second and clips down.
Oh, okay, yeah, but the other one renders below the minecart, like the line.
Oh wait, I see what you mean now. What the hell?
Okay, so oops, wrong button. So we have our entity. I guess now we have to edit this place rail score as well, or execute it off the area effect cloud instead of the minecart. Do we want to execute it off the area effect cloud?
Sorry, what's that?
We have the score is stored on the area effect cloud, so we have to either check the area effect cloud or just execute off of it.
Check the area effect cloud.
I
don't know why you would why you would want to execute off the area effect.
So
no need
if
to
score
switch.
at e type equals area. Do we still check for type?
Yeah, we need to. If you don't, then it's gonna be horrible.
Tag equals GM4 bore storage, and then we're using dx instead of radius.
I think a really small radius would be best here. I don't know how small we can go though. I think we can go to something like 0.3 or even smaller.
We can try lowering it when we know this works.
Good point. Alright.
Okay, so we have the entity now. We are checking on for rails on it. Before we try and place the rail, we should check if it's 0 and try and repopulate it. So that should go up here because, like you said, we want to make sure that it has rail when it tries to place rail.
Yep.
Check that there is rail in local inventory and look for more rail. If not, execute if score blah 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 blah. Copy all of that.
You should really only do all of this if it needs to place a rail though.
Doesn't it need to place a rail every single step?
No, because let's say you have an activator rail and there's already... Then it doesn't need to place a rail because there's already a rail.
Well, I literally typed this in the place where it used to say set block rail, so...
Yeah, it used to do set block rail keep though, so try to place a rail keep, because keep only replaces air blocks.
Oh, okay.
Now that we have more complicated stuff, now we need to just exclude rails, so you just do execute unless block Minecraft rails.
Oh my god. No.
Though that's now a duplicate check and a duplicate entity selector, so we want to put them into one function.
Yes.
Like that's the same thing up here and down here, so that's super unnecessary.
So I guess that can go into the place rail.
Yeah, so that's what you actually want to place, right?
But then in place rail, we're going to have 2 checks for the...
Yeah, then you're just gonna do add s and check the score using add s 2 times, which is better than looking for this entity twice, but which might even like find different things or stuff. So we'll just not do this. And then we'll just change the executor like you suggested at the beginning.
No.
No?
Oh, do you know? Oh, okay, sorry.
I
what?
think we have to.
Yeah, you're right.
Otherwise
Yeah. Okay.
Add s.
Place rail.
And
So
this doesn't need to be rails where it is, but it needs to be rails 1 block in front. So it needs to be caret, empty caret 1, caret.
Corporate
Especially
says,
so
I
long.
think they accidentally removed the type equals optimization.
Wait, we or Mojang?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. We still have a
Special
type
is still
equals,
alive?
so... I think Special's falling asleep.
Yeah. Try not to. It's been a long week.
I know we haven't done that much, but for a first stream, I guess that's often common. We might have to wrap it up soon.
Let's get at least a rail part working here.
We still have a whole like scanning system thing to do.
Yeah.
At least the placing, guys.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're gonna have to have removed more code than we've added. So.
Okay, so we're executing off the area effect cloud now. So now we have to go execute if at s, if score at s G4 or keep typing more.
I keep seeing you type bone and like freak out every second. Every other time you type it, I'm like, no, that's R, and then I go to fix it, and then yeah, it's actually an R.
Oh. Okay, so
I haven't like. You'd think I'd learn.
Wait, didn't you have like a check for 0 somewhere here? Oh, you're typing that right now, right?
Yes.
We can move this into its own function.
Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. Should we create a folder called refill?
I've created a folder. I'm creating a folder called item consumption right now. It should pop up in any second for you. You'll probably have to close the folder bore and reopen it. There we go, the folder's there for me. So if you collapse bore and reopen bore, it should appear.
Item consumption, yep. What do we call it? Import rails? Eat rails?
Intake,
Rail intake.
rail loading, rail.
Rail loading sounds good.
Let's go with load underscore and then the thing it's loading. So load rails. Load rails.
Rails. What is that like in the 2000s? Like we're 2010 or something.
Mm-hmm. Load rails.mc function.
What should I call my function that places the rails? Place rail is not valid because we're currently in place rail.
Actually place rail. Place underscore rail underscore for underscore real underscore this underscore time.
We could rename this function we're currently handle rail placement or handle rails.
Yeah.
And call this. I need to dislog. Place underscore rail. And
Or make the new one the
rename-
railgun. Shoots at rails.
No, that's an add-on for your minecart train special.
Long distance to rail placing.
Yeah, it comes.
That's
along
how it
in-
places rails at the front of the train.
Yeah, it comes in a package together with the bridge block gun. We need to rename the file we're currently in handle rail or something.
Rails don't have handles, silly.
Should I do that on my end?
Probably, though it will desync me in special, but
That's fine, we can deal.
I think we've already desynced. No, okay,
Nope.
yeah. Place rail is being changed to handle rails.
imagine if
handle
the
rail.
Titanic would have had just the option of desyncing.
Okay, I've renamed it. What happened for you guys?
Nothing, I think I need to
You just-
reopen that
Oh,
folder.
it worked perfectly for me.
Really? You see me clicking around?
Yep, and the function's called handle rails now.
Oh, cool.
And for me, it's just place rail, so
For some reason, it
Maybe 'cause
opened.
I was linked to
Renaming
you.
it opened it as a project on the left.
I will rejoin the portal, I guess. Alright, so now we have the rail placement. Can you move that to the actual place rail function, Sparks? If that function actually exists yet?
I don't think it does. Where's that going? Just under
In
board.
item consumption. Item consumption.
Place rails.
Yeah, because it's consuming the rail by placing.
Okay, it's place rail singular. .mc function.
Or should it be place rails? It places just, it
Well,
places
it is
just
placing
rail.
one rail, so
Yeah.
no.
Handle rails, and this is under item underscore consumption. All right, and now I'll move this stuff over. And now I'm super proud because we did a proper neat little function tree, function branching tree.
Yes, I definitely also did that.
Look at this special, like it's properly branching often.
Yeah. It is quite nice.
It just gives me a branchism. What's check on about? Alright, people are saying, Grubhub said mode change accidentally removed the type optimization. But we should keep the type check because it's still fast. I think I'm the only.
We're just saying this.
It's in the YouTube chat. Mizot says, I think I am
Oh, right
the
there.
only
Gotcha.
method to remove. To summarize, Mizot says that he is the only method to remove one of a certain item in a container. Why not the whole stack? Dentas, I mean, a player is also a good method to remove one of a certain item. See you, Venator.
Bye.
Tacit is angry about us that we're using plural because it makes everything confusing.
It's a bit late. I mean, I think our naming standard for modules is to refer to them as plurals. So like mending tanks, liquid mine carts.
Until we make a
bat
module that only
grenades.
can create one custom crafter.
We create a special.
Your world is allowed one.
Yeah, we'll create a special version of the custom crafters mod. It's called custom crafter. You only get one.
Yeah.
Here's your allowance for the world. Oh, that's the Bedrock edition.
That is the Bedrock edition, yeah.
So, in custom craft with the module custom crafter, you can complete a microtransaction to buy additional custom crafters, or you can watch an ad for one.
Or you can just install the pack multiple times.
By the way,
Each custom crafter you install.
slight aside, my landlord,
Lets you watch ads instead of paying.
he knows I'm a game designer for a living, and I thought that he was surprisingly okay with that. Like a lot of people are like, are you making enough money to pay rent with that? Turns out I met his wife today, and they met through online games, so that explains a lot.
Oh.
Ah.
Anyway,
Oh yeah, we did too.
currently
Alright, so
the load
plot
rail
twist.
function. Currently the load
You
rail function
made the
just.
game they met in.
Yes, the load rail function now just adds 5 rails if it runs out of rails, just so we can test that.
All right.
So if we summon a new one and then give it a rail score of 3, we should see it go 3, 2, 1, and then hope. Did you reload,
Die.
by the way?
Oh no, I didn't.
Yes.
Did the reload work?
I hope so.
Because we changed a lot.
There's no
Yeah,
errors.
it worked.
Well, we didn't give it a rail score before we set it on its way. Okay, try now. 3. It didn't go down.
Nope.
It didn't do anything.
Is there an error?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's because I gave the
No, no
minecart
errors.
the score, not the area effect
Oh.
mode.
Yeah. Good point. Try again.
Okay. Okay.
Third attempt.
What?
Nope. Where did the area effect mode go?
It's still there. Wait, there's
Oh, it's, it just sank
There's a
down.
bunch of the little facing
there's
things.
3.
Oh.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we
The
don't
leftover
kill
one from when we broke the cart.
The left. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if it
Alright.
works now.
them.
No.
Alright, so what's going wrong here? Back to. Can you go back to mine, Sparks?
Unless
So unless the
the block.
block up front of rails, I think that should work.
Is this directional carrot okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be, because up there we're using it. I will just make sure. Let's say. Not a rail up front. There.
Does it have the correct tag? GM4 ball storage. Is the tag supposed to be in a speech mark? Maybe that's the problem.
No.
No, it doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to or has to not?
It's acceptable either way.
Yeah, so it finds that there's not a rail up front.
That one doesn't have a score now.
That's fine, I just want to
Yeah.
know whether it's a character or a language. So that's not the issue. Does the selector fail maybe? Because we're not close enough to error effect card.
Where was your not a rails, sir?
I deleted that now.
Was that in handle rails? Is handle rails
It used to
running?
be in mine. Used to be in mine.
Okay.
I just increased the radius on the area effect cloud check to make sure that's not the issue. Okay, I'm reloading.
Mhm.
Can you... We don't need to give it a score, right?
No say command.
That is this actual location.
No say command, so it doesn't get to handle rail. This succeeds.
It's because you're calling it handle rail and I'm calling it handle rails.
Oh, test it.
Right, try that.
The module names are one thing, but your functions and variables should always be either singular or have like set or list or whatever.
Try now.
Load set
Reload.
of rail. Yes, exactly, Grop. Grop PP, Grop. I'm so mad. I'm so sorry. Alright, did you reload?
No.
There you go. Reload.
I'm handling it.
Still nothing.
Well,
Okay, so we get this far.
No, you aren't.
So, we need a dot dot here. One or more. Try again. Let me give it a score before you push it off.
can
Okay.
you set that score?
Stop, fool. Okay, you can go now. Ah.
3, 2, 1.
Well,
0.
it's just going.
What do you mean? That's what's supposed to happen, isn't it?
Wait, can it
It
still
went
place
through like
rails?
20. It went through the whole 8 blocks. And you only had to give it a score of 3.
No.
Can you give it a...
When it runs out of rails, currently it just gives itself 5 more rails. You're just looking at the
can we
scoreboard.
set the-
Oh.
Can we set
Oh,
it to
okay,
2 for
gotcha.
now? Can you give it a rail? Yeah.
So you'll see it
So now
go
it should-
Oh, because there's nothing to load it from.
3,
I see.
2, 1, 0. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, because of course it gives itself rails again.
Yeah, exactly, which is
But
good.
it's only giving it 1 rail.
I made it give itself 2 now. It appears to 1 as 1 on the scoreboard because it instantly places that first rail.
Ah, gotcha. I see.
We need to place the rail
Component.
we need to load rails before we place rails, otherwise it's gonna have not a rail for one step and gonna sit there without
Yep.
a rail.
So that's good.
Component.
So I guess all we have to do now is look for rails to fill and remove them from the chest. But I think that's going to have to be next stream.
Yeah, can we leave ourselves a note before finish the stream? Otherwise we're gonna be really confused.
Like in main.
Uh,
Do you remember where we got to?
in load... Yeah, we could do in main.
Well,
in main
I do already have a note here.
also
Temporarily
put it
just
in the
add 5
world.
rails for nothing.
Load rails from inventory here. Was a good placeholder. The place rail thing. Somewhere we'll have to add this like try to place a support block first. This should probably go here. Try to place switching block if block beneath is breakable and destroyable.
If it's destroyable.
Looking like bear mushroom liquids.
That was a belligerent sigh from Special there.
Mushroom.
We're just gonna put cow catchers on it. Which, by the way, do not catch cows. They obliterate them. But anyway.
All right, so this looks good.
Mhm.
We haven't got that much done today, code-wise. Just a bit of discussing, but discussing is really important with this module.
Yep.
Yes.
And Tessa is saying, I'm shouting because all caps. I'm so mad. You could have avoided this.
You're correct.
You are correct, and I totally blame myself for it.
Okay, well,
Alright.
that was something anyway. We didn't really get stuck. We just talked a lot, which is nice. Thank you for watching, everybody, and for your submissions and contributions, as always, in discussion and code suggestions. And we will see you next week. I am pretty sure I'm still
hope so.
around next week, so should be good.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys then.
Bye. I have stopped. Maybe. I'm not sure. Oh, I clicked stop recording. All right, well, bye guys.